Orwell's 1984. Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse Five. William Golding's Lord of the Flies. Even Charles Dickens' A Tale of Two Cities. These are common works of fiction that most high schoolers have to read or at least know something of by the time they graduate. And all of these works depict a darker view of reality. What happens when the absolute worst happens to human beings? Even now it would seem our media wants us scared. Turn on the television and you will find scary newsreels. You will find true crime solved and unsolved. And that has become really interesting over the last few years to me. We have become a culture that seems obsessed with the worst in us. That's something of what is going on with the apocalyptic works that we heard read this morning. Jesus is preparing us for a future that is hard and will be hard. He's reminding them to stay flexible, to be open to the demands of the current time, saying, make up your minds not to prepare your defense in advance, because they really don't know what is coming. Be ready, be flexible, trust God. And Luke's recording of these things is essentially doing the same work. Luke was written sometime after the year 70 AD. We know this because the temple had already been destroyed. And if you notice, both the Gospels of Matthew and the Gospel of Luke have this feature of remembering the prophecy of the destruction of the temple. Now, Mark does not talk about the destruction of the temple, leading scholars to believe that it hadn't been written at this point, so it wasn't remembered. But the word and the witness of Jesus remained in the midst of the last 200 years of the Roman Empire, and things were going to fall apart. Luke reminds Christians of the need to be ready, the need to be flexible, trust God in the face of uncertainty and great risk and social upheaval. So, sound familiar? I mean, here we are in 2019. Our churches are formulating budgets. We are going to have changes in pastorates, both at Messiah and St. Stephen's. The old order is ending. A new one is going to emerge, and it's scary. It's these times when we see all the insecurities of God's people begin to pop out, and sometimes in rather baffling behaviors. All the more reason to be ready, to be flexible, and to trust God. And next year, the standard political discourse. We may or we may not elect a different president. The standard party politics will reach a fever pitch again. And it's going to seem like nothing will end well. And it ain't pretty. But what can we do that is within our power to be ready, to be flexible, and to trust God? Well, first, it means recognizing that the kingdom of God looks a lot different than we think it does. The kingdom of God looks an awful lot more like the people we serve at Saturday supper or Sandwich Sunday than it does a social club or country club. We often forget that. We talk about membership in the church. Jesus didn't talk about membership. He talked about discipleship. He talked about having to change life. And where else do we change life but when we begin where our lives are messed up? Rachel Held Evans, a writer who sadly passed away last year after a very brief illness, made a statement in her book, Searching for Sunday. And she was called out of what didn't work for her, the conservative evangelical movement, into mainline Christianity, more specifically into the Episcopal Church. And so she writes, "This is what God's kingdom is like. A bunch of outcasts and oddballs gathered at the table, not because they're rich, or they're worthy, or they're good, but because they're hungry, because they said yes, and there's always room for one more. Take a look around you. There's plenty of empty pews around us. There is plenty of room for one more. You see, we ought to understand that we are strengthened as a people by our diversity rather than being threatened by it. If we claim to be Christian, we ought to care for one another as neighbors. And if we are not marked by our own self-sacrifice, then our lives do absolutely nothing to point to the cross. And so we come from the foretelling of the destruction of the temple to a time of our own uncertainty in our own congregations. This really sums up the whole point of eschatology in Scripture. Don't worry, God's got this. You need to be ready, be flexible, and trust God. I also want you to be aware of the mess that this text often brings up, because people abuse Scripture by pointing away from themselves. You know, it's as if to say, well, when this happened, that's the wrath of God. Typically, these moments, these sort of ways of looking at apocalyptic narratives in Scripture, see it as a time of reckoning, or the end times, you know, where we think that somehow people that we didn't like get what they got. Well, I hate to say this, but people in Jesus' day did not look at Scripture this way. Instead, prophecy has far more to do with current events than it ever had to do with anything in the future. The book of Revelation, get this, has already been fulfilled. It was fulfilled in John's own day, and it is still being fulfilled even now. It is a current events book. Now, this is hard stuff, but we live in a hard moment. And it's like this passage of Scripture isn't exactly easy. A lot's being asked of each individual Christian here. Because we're divided by our inability to respect and appreciate our incredible human differences, which God gave us. We are taught our prejudices, and this is the way that people hold on to power and then use it to harm, to both reflect and intensify the things that divide us. We need only look to Washington to see this. If we don't see the humanness of others, or those different from us, and I might remind you, these are people for whom Jesus died. If we don't see it, and we don't hear it, and we don't do it, and we don't acknowledge it, we begin to think that all the other people who are not like us don't matter. But to God, all His children matter. We slip all too often into the cultural norm of thinking here in the church, you know, we have stock in the company, we signed a pledge card, therefore we're shareholders. So we begin to be divided into the members and the outsiders, when again, Jesus only acknowledged disciples. Or worse, we may divide into the winners and the losers. We learn that on the playgrounds of life, and oftentimes we fail to realize that we have to deprogram from that for the rest of our lives. Jesus reminds us in Luke chapter 14 that all who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. That vision is what we seek to regenerate with our communities and in our lives. It's a completely different concept of the relationship between power and people. Be ready, be flexible, trust God. One of our hymn writers once wrote, his name was Robert Seymour Bridges. And I think the words of this hymn actually really do point to where we are as a community of faith right now. All my hope in God is founded. He doth still my strength renew. Me through change and chance He guideth, only good and only true. God alone, He alone, calls my heart to be His own. Mortal pride and earthly glory betray our trust. Though with care and toil we build them, tower and temple turn to dust. But God's power, hour by hour, is my temple and my tower. In the midst of things that we cannot understand, and in the midst of things that stress us out, let us remember that it is God and God alone who is our temple and our tower. And amidst things that are fleeting, let us learn to trust on the one who created all things, redeems, and sanctifies. And because of that, we have hope for tomorrow. We have strength and a future. Amen.